Hi all, Michael here from Pushworth with Nicki as well for the Music Reel. Today we've got a super special guest, Mr. Rob Rhodes from The Music In, living in the 70 Rhodes band. He's an amazing soloist and band leader and performer. And what we've seen, I think, over the last couple of months, he's been sort of on the forefront of live streams and doing different podcasts, and he's kept himself busy. Hello, Mr. Rhodes.
Hey, Michael. Hi, Nicki. How are you?
Hi, Rob. We have loved what you're doing with the Musicians In. Tell us about why you started it.
Well, it really was a bit of a social thing first, to get a whole lot of people together that were sitting at home and just talk about things we're passionate about. It was the inspiration I took from Doug DeJong, who's been doing one as well, and he'd had me on a couple of times. And I just kind of wanted to do my own sort of take on that with some people that I've known for many years, and just deciding what it was to be. And it kind of cemented itself as an industry sort of musicians type talk show after episode 1. I wanted it to be entertaining and something for everybody, but then I figured that was kind of a bit too hard to do, like a late night talk show with a music theme. So I just thought, from watching episode 1 back, the strength was the talk about the music. So since then I've just broken it up into parts, and we have themes that we talk about each week, and I try to get people in. So we've done one on singing, one on starting a band, podcasting, and this week I've got a home recording episode with some amazing songwriters and producers and musicians. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I know I've been watching the sorry, Nicki. I know I've been watching like a lot of your live streams and the Music In as well. And I think for me, it's sort of made me note there's been a vast difference between some of the people doing live streams and some of the people doing podcasts and different things. And it's been really good to see, the way that you've approached it, and, you've had good sound quality and all those sort of things that people come to expect, but they, might take for granted. So I think for a lot of musos out there that might be a bit unsure, like, how do I make my music live stream sound better? How do I do different things better? I think definitely logging on to what you're, looking back at videos you've done is a really good thing. How did you kind of come about working out how to do it? Was it trial and error, or was it, I already know how to do it, or what did you kind of do?
No, I hadn't, apart from, how we would just set up our phone at a gig and live stream it that way in the past. I think it was, I saw Keith Urban on Instagram TV. Yeah. He did the first one from his little, it's his storage shed that he turned into a studio. And I just went, I can do that. I got a shed out here that I can steal from my wife because it was her space. And then I can set it up exactly like he did. And it was a process because I had the tech, but I didn't know I had the tech. So I started out by basically just setting up for a live gig and putting the phone at one end of the room and setting the sound so it wasn't distorting on the phone. And then it turned into, okay, how do I get the audio from the mixer, make it sound good, get that to the stream. And then it was, how can I add cameras? And then how can I add camera switching? And how can I make it better? So it was a process. When I go back, I kind of beat myself up sometimes and go, oh, those early ones must have sucked. But when I go back and listen to the early ones, there was still, there was something nice about it. There's raw. It's you can see me learning and the cogs going around during those, and then to where it is now with title screens and tip jars and all that sort of thing, and the camera switching. It's just been an evolution and learning as I go, and I've just always been like that. I've just wanted to learn and then share what I did. I think I did a 2.5-2-hour live tutorial on the whole setup from how it started to how it's running now, and took questions, because it's just, you know, if we can share what we learn, make it easier for other people, and just raise the standard across the board, you know.
Because that's the buzzword, right? It's all about pivoting and innovating, right? And normally an industry would get a couple of years to do that. We all had to do it in a day, pretty much. One day. All your gigs are done. That's it. Holy shit. What do I do now? And so what's been amazing is watching how everyone's just gone, no, this isn't going to stop me. And then coming up with all these amazing things to do during lockdown. Who would have ever thought this is where we'd be in 2020? It's so cool to watch everyone create these things out of nothing. Don't you think? It's so cool.
I think it's absolutely amazing, and I hope it continues, because I think that as if you look at the negatives, you know, you can get a little bit down and whatever. But if you look at the positives, I think for me, just the content out there, like I'm a huge Mark Lizotte / Diesel fan, and he rarely talks. And because of this lockdown, he's been going on these 3-hour video podcasts and talking about his studio experiences and going album by album. And you're seeing more and more these artists talking in depth. And that can only be a good thing, connecting with the fans again, rather than the only connection you really saw was they go on the Today Show and Studio 10, and then their album comes out and they go on tour. I think this has shown that it's just propelled the industry forward and right into everybody's living room. We thought we knew a lot before with Facebook and Insta, but now that sort of stuff seems superfluous almost, and you want to see them talk and chat and get the more in deep with them, rather than here's so-and-so in a Vera Wang and hashtag, you know, me too, I wear this, I wear that, you know. I think it's a bit more real, and people are just gravitating towards music again, which is awesome.
It's great.
I think, look.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, go Nicki. And I was just going to say, like, I think it's been so good, everyone, you know, coming up with ideas and doing different things. I really hope that it's something that doesn't stop after this, because it's just been so good to see a lot of musicians out there just start to really progress. And even ones that, you know, there's acts that, you know, haven't sent us promo or updated videos or demos for, you know, 10 years, have all of a sudden got all this video content. It's like, wow, there's like, see, you can do it. So I think it's been good for that. I really hope it doesn't stop. I hope that everyone realizes it's such a good way to stay connected, you know, with people, you know, in general. I think it's really good, and great promotion for you know, when they're playing at pubs and doing that sort of thing, you know, rather than just posting on Facebook. You know, coming up this week and putting a picture to it, like, you can do a video now, easy.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to be, whether that goes ahead, like I've been talking to some venues whether they want live streaming as a part of the product now, whether they're going to see that as a positive or a negative. But it's going to be interesting. I'm planning on taking the musicians in because the gigs are just sort of starting back up now, moving that to a midweek. So that will continue. And hopefully do a live stream show 1 hour once a week. But, you know, because my live PA is set up, well, part of my PA is set up in here, it's going to be interesting once all the gear's back in the van. Okay, I've got to now build a portable and mobile streaming rig, and then one that can stay quickly set up for a midweek thing.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Like, so obviously, right, things are going to be different when we get out of whatever this is. What do you think, Rob? You've been in this industry a long time. What kind of tips would you offer young, emerging cover artists coming into this market, as it's quite different now? So what do you think you could, I guess, advise them?
Well, I think early on, people are going to be seated, right? So I know I've got a couple of gigs coming up this week and next week where the social distancing, it's table service, there's no mingling, there's no dancing. So you're really going to have to develop a side of your, I guess, how you entertain people. You're going to have to develop that as a distance. And this live streaming has been a good training for that, of performing to a screen, like to nobody. And I think the skills that you take out of that, if you're engaging during your live streams, not just playing and saying hi and bye, if you're developing those skills, you're going to be able to take them to a venue and know what to do and say when somebody's 40 meters away from you with the back to you. So my advice to them is try to come up with a way that you can engage with people who are just stationary. So I don't know what that's going to be, but try your darndest to, sing and dance and put some extra quivers, bows in your quiver, and just, that's going to be the difficult thing. And then you're going to have to do it twice. So if you're doing a 3 or 4 hour gig, there's a 2 hour turnover. So you almost have to treat every gig like 2 gigs. So start again. Don't just go, I'm warmed up, the crowd's warmed up, and then an hour, your last set, you're just going through the motions again. You've got to re-engage with people, which you wouldn't have had to do before. You've had a chance to build a crowd. Now you're going to walk in with the crowd, and then it's going to change over, and you're going to have to start again. So that would be my advice.
No, that's great. Leveling up, everyone. Leveling up. So what do you reckon, Michael?
Yeah, I think Rob made a really good point, and I've harped on it. I harped on about it forever. Just the importance of being an entertainer and being able to, build a night and do those things and work out different ways. Because the last thing you want when you're playing, as many shows as sort of, Rob does or I do, the last thing you want to do is do the same thing night after night after night. And I think it's a really good lesson to, to always be, not just because we've got these new sort of way that things are, but always finding ways to create and innovate and make it exciting for yourself and exciting for the people watching you. I think that is such an important thing for old musos and young musos to learn, is to, to keep it fresh and keep it fun and always find different ways to, make it interesting, I suppose. There's nothing worse than seeing a bored muso. Wouldn't you say, Rob?
Well, yeah, it's there's a lot of them out there, and I did a long sort of op-ed the other day on Facebook about that this is a reset for the industry as well, to maybe clear out those gigs that aren't needed, just the ones that, because a venue thinks they need entertainment, that they put on a poor offering, that it's not helping them, but they could actually now reset and go, well, this is our standard and we're going to build on it, because we don't just want the nights where it's the 20 or 30 people. We want that 20 or 30 people, but we want a performer who has been putting in the hard yards the last 12 weeks, who has an online contingent that can drag that extra 20, 30, 40 people and make it a good night. So and some of those part-timers, they mightn't be able to come back as quickly because they've got themselves some jobs out there. And us full-timers that, have been putting in the yards, it might actually pay off really well for us. There'll be less gigs, but a higher standard maybe for a while.
Yep, agreed. Now, look, Rob, we love what you're doing with the Musician In, and it's been great to talk to you, just to see how you're doing. And it's been just a good news story to see how everyone is leveling up. So, Rob, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
No worries,
I guess we'll see you when the gigs start coming back, when these guys start calling you again.
Well, that's right. Well, my first gig's this Sunday and then next Friday. So
awesome.
The solo gigs are back, which is great. But it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
See you later.